The Korean Hunter Association logo flashed on the screen, a grim reminder of the looming threat. Whispers circulated, so that monster of a gate will open in a few days. I'm a beer anchor now. I can't be letting my guard down. The scene shifted to a busy street, where people murmured and pointed. Who are you? One man asked nervously. Another voice piped up. Oh, is there a fight going on over there? A third, his voice full of awe, added, Whoa, that guy's really huge. I think he's even bigger than Ma Dong-suk. A fourth chipped in, he's probably a hunter, right? There are only hunters remaining in Seoul after all. A man, his tone mocking, said, But is that other guy out of his mind? Should we call the ambulance for him? He approached a large figure, his voice rising in arrogance. Hey, you need to apologize if you bumped into someone. I'm a beer anchor now, a relatively high-ranking hunter. I'm not the same as my past self, who was licking my boss's boots and was looked down upon by my subordinates. Are you just going to stand there and stare at me? If you did something wrong, you need to apologize and... Suddenly, a chilling sound filled the air. Kaya! A scream filled the air. He ate him. He ate a person. A monstrous figure, towering and terrifying, rose above the crowd. Listen up, you flimsy humans. He bellowed. As of now, I will start hunting you. My teeth and nails will rip apart your weak skin and flesh. I am the king of the beasts, the beast monarch. Stop me if you dare. A calm voice cut through the chaos. I know a hotel around this area that serves really good breakfast. Do you want to go there to wash up and have a meal? Yes, then let's go, came the reply. If I run with my full power, it'll take about 5 minutes. A beat of silence followed, then, didn't you say it was around this area? Just how many kilometers can he run in 5 minutes? The scene shifted to the Hunter Association headquarters, where alarm blared. There's an intruder in the Hunter Association, Chairman Woo Jan-chul. Damn it. Any casualties? We are unable to confirm the exact number as of now, a voice responded. There should be at least a couple of hours left until the dungeon breaks. I've already got my hands full with the gate, and some monster decided to show up. What about Hunter Sung Jin-Woo? We could not get hold of him. If it comes to the worst, I might have to step up myself, Chairman, a worried voice responded. A hunter, who is able to face the monster has appeared. Did Hunter Sung Jin-Woo come? He didn't, but he said he's a world-class hunter who just happened to be around the area. Elsewhere, a figure trembled, his voice laced with desperation. Can I really do this? I won't be disappearing here, will I? Perhaps the reason I stayed in Seoul was because I was destined to face that monster. Back off. You'll only get in my way. A phone rang. Yes, this is Sung Jin-Woo. Did something happen? Hunter-son, why weren't we able to get hold of you until now? A voice asked urgently. I was outside the service zone until now. There's a monster running rampant in the middle of Seoul. No way. But don't we have a few days until the dungeon break? But it's true. What's the approximate number of the enemy? It's not even an approximate number. There's only one. Only one, and every hunter is gathered in Seoul right now. They should be on their edge in order to stop the dungeon break of the gigantic-sized gate. And they are getting overwhelmed by a single magical beast that appeared out of nowhere. An entire guild who came across him was annihilated in an instant. I don't think this is just your normal beast. I've just received a report that Thomas Andre is currently standing off against that beast. Impossible. I put my shadow soldiers on Thomas and the hunters, and I told them to report back to me if even something slightly out of the ordinary happens, a voice muttered in disbelief. And there's a monster who's strong enough to annihilate an entire guild, and I haven't got back a report yet? Hold on, my signal with my shadow soldiers in Seoul is strangely faint. It's almost as if something is purposely making the signal weaker. What's going on? Unable to find the specified shadow soldier. Unable to find the specified shadow soldier. Even the soldiers I was using as coordinators are gone. I think there's a problem in Korea right now. Did the dungeon break happen already? No, I think it's something else, an enemy with overwhelming power. And the world-class hunter who is standing off against them, and the hindered signal. Don't tell me, Chairman, does that monster have a shadow? You must confirm whether that monster has a shadow or not. They must have hidden away a colossal monster beyond the invisible shadows. T. Thomas, the Goliath. Another voice stammered. It's the Goliath. Don't just stand there. Start rescuing the citizens, you fools. A furious voice roared. I see. A beast is going rampant without knowing their place, and it's only right for mad beasts to be disciplined. The scene opened with a flurry of activity at a disaster site. How's the evacuation situation here? A voice crackled through a radio, the urgency evident. We are still evacuating the people inside the building, came the response, a note of stress coloring the tone. Which guilds are on the site for subjugation? The Flint Guild and the White Tiger Guild have both been dispatched, the voice replied, the words clipped and precise. Since hunters from everywhere have gathered at the site of the colossal gate, I expect the beast will be contained sooner than later. Another voice chimed in, a touch of forced optimism present. I think that we, the Hunters Guild, just need to focus on evacuation. The beast will be contained sooner than later. An anxious voice broke through, its tone laced with worry. Thomas Andre and a national-level hunter are currently facing off against the mysterious magic beast. This massive presence, it feels even worse than the one I felt during the Jeju Island raid. Just what kind of monster is the Goliath battling? The scene shifted, revealing a chaotic scene. A group of hunters approached the area, their faces grim. Reinforcements. This must be the subjugation site. Everyone, are you ready? As they neared, a collective gasp filled the air, followed by hushed whispers. Is that the magic beast that has been reported to have appeared on the site? One hunter murmured, their eyes wide with a mixture of awe and apprehension. Then that means that person must be the Goliath, Thomas Andre. A voice, full of misplaced bravado, yelled out, You're the best Goliath. Take him down. A more seasoned hunter, his face etched with concern, barked back, You dumbass, hurry up and take cover. The battle commenced, the air thick with tension and the ground trembling with each blow. It's definitely not a normal monster, one of the hunters murmured, their voice filled with a trepidation that seemed to hang in the air. Another hunter, determination flashing in their eyes, declared, I should transform as we dash. A different perspective emerged, focusing on an individual trying to stay hidden. The sixth sense of an animal, horror. The struggle to not be recognized as prey. The figure thought, their voice barely a whisper. I can't even make eye contact. On the battlefield, a figure fought with a desperate intensity, their movements a blur of motion. What's this feeling? The figure thought, their mind racing. The feeling of uneasiness is closing in on me. It doesn't feel like I'm going to prevail. A booming voice, laced with a mocking tone, echoed across the battlefield, its power reverberating through the very air. We have to think that a mere puppet of a fragment could be this powerful, the voice stated, its words dripping with a dark amusement. I've seen enough of your petty tricks. Are you afraid? Do you feel fear? Are you despairing? Suddenly, another voice, sharp and icy, cut through the din, its tone sending a shiver down the spine. Looks like there was a little rat here. What were you doing hiding in the shadows? You're in the way. Be gone now. Shall we continue? The voice declared, its words laced with a menacing calm. Since you seem to be confident in your strength, why don't we have a little battle of strength? Who do you think you are, blabbering on so arrogantly? A voice roared back, its tone filled with fury. A brief silence followed, then the chilling response, I'm sorry to tell you this, but I'm starting to feel hungry again. A figure moved with lightning speed. The scene returned to the main clash between Thomas Andre and the monstrous entity. Thomas, his face a mask of grim determination, roared, I won't let you do as you please. I will not permit you to proceed unchecked, a voice declared, laced with an intensity that belied the speaker's visible tremor. He stood firm, though his body reacted involuntarily to the presence before him. The air hung thick, almost palpable. Just standing near it, the speaker continued, a shiver running down his spine, sends chills through me. A figure, barely visible in the gloom, replied with a low, knowing cadence, I'm well aware. There was a pause, and then the figure continued, their voice resonating with a hunter's confidence. But I'm still a hunter, after all. A warning cut through the quiet menace. Retreat. The voice was urgent, the implication clear. It will mean your end. A cold, defiant laugh echoed in response. Even if this becomes my final moment, the first voice countered, rising with determination, I would make this same choice again and again. A glorious end is far preferable to a life without meaning. The speaker's voice grew louder, a mantra repeating, I made the correct choice, the correct choice. Oh, the sound faded into a breath, wrong choice? Silence descended momentarily, broken only by the sound of shifting earth. Then, a desperate plea. I am sorry. A voice cracked with emotion. But please, could you take Thomas to a place of safety? A new voice, smooth and menacing, entered the conversation. So it was true, it mused. I can detect the scent of that shadow creature on this human. The voice was edged with something predatory. Don't concern yourself with us, the voice continued. The intent of this being is substantial, and he is not alone. Another voice rose above the others, incredulous. How can you harness such a vast power, the power of a superior being, whilst existing in a human form? The speaker's tone was a mixture of curiosity and disbelief. The previous menacing voice chuckled, low in its throat. The administrator likely found a means. It's been some time since the Shadow Monarch sealed his agreement with him. A pause, then a cold, calculating query. So I am led to believe this means I can consume the human body? The voice turned thoughtful. I've always held a fascination about how a monarch might taste. Another voice, deep and rumbling, now spoke. The king of the snow folk, the frost monarch, recognizes you as an adversary. Following that declaration, a second voice boomed, just as deep and resonant. The king of the beasts, the beast monarch, sees you as a threat. The gathering shifted. Finally, a third voice joined the chorus, its tone dripping with menace. The king of the insects, the plague monarch, regards you as a foe. The tension was palpable, thick as tar, the air heavy with impending conflict. A new voice broke the silence. Is this the Shadow Army reborn? There might be many of them, the voice continued, now laced with a dangerous amusement. But they're mere nuisances. Your soldiers are powerless within this enclosure. The first voice from the start, now charged with a deep resonance, rose again. You should have left my children undisturbed. It has been far too long since I have witnessed them. The speaker paused, and then continued, incredulous. To think that he was attempting to use such trivial forces to impede us is laughable. The laughter was devoid of warmth. It is an insult to the other monarchs. The speaker's tone shifted again, this time to disbelief. And on top of that, I did not expect that this human would have fully absorbed the Shadow Monarch's power. Though the Shadow Monarch was surely one of the greatest of our kind, one should never underestimate the might of the other monarchs. A single word, laced with malice, punctuated the scene. You. The voice fell into a lower growl, promising a reckoning. I will certainly overpower at least you. Tell me, a voice purred, a silken thread of menace woven into its casual tone. Would you allow me a share in this entertainment? The unspoken implication hung heavy in the air, promising a shift in the already tense dynamic. A second voice, dripping with scorn, immediately responded, that degenerate. She's desecrating a fallen body. The contempt was palpable, thick enough to choke the space between the speakers. A moment of stillness, charged with unspoken challenges, was shattered by a voice that dared to mock. You honestly believe, the voice sneered, incredulity coloring its tone, that you can inflict any lasting harm with a mere sliver of metal? The words were a gauntlet thrown down, daring a response. A reply came, not with anger but with a chilling calm. I concede that such a feat might have been impossible, the voice admitted, had it been simply an ordinary piece of metal. The statement was a veiled threat, a subtle hint of a power beyond comprehension. A single, bewildered, what? Broke the tense silence, a fleeting moment of genuine confusion amidst the rising conflict. The scene shifted, the air thickening with possessive rage. That insect of a woman, a voice spat, each word laced with venom, dares to lay her hands upon my leech. My leech. The phrase was repeated, a possessive mantra, my leech, each repetition fueled with a growing fury. A series of guttural, enraged cries echoed through the space. Kai, e. The sounds were primal, unrestrained, signaling a descent into uncontrolled fury. One of my own shadow soldiers, a voice declared, its tone a mix of disbelief and outrage, has broken free of my binding spell. How can an entity of such a commander's rank possibly be under the influence of a mere human? The voice grew louder, fueled by disbelief. A single shadow soldier of commander level, it emphasized, is practically a manifestation of unstoppable force. The voice dropped, becoming colder, more menacing. A child who fails to recognize their parent, it concluded, each word a pronouncement of doom, is in dire need of correction. A strange, mirthless chuckle, like the scraping of bones, pierced the air. Kiki! The sound was followed by a shout, filled with incandescent rage. You deranged creature! What? A new voice, filled with a strange blend of awe and admiration, cut through the chaos. You remained unaffected, it commented, even when in opposition to beings of superior existence. The tone was filled with a sense of wonder. Another voice chimed in, its tone reverent. As anticipated from my lord, I am perpetually in a state of wonder regarding the boundless extent of your capabilities. The perspective shifted once more, focusing on a confrontation that promised devastation. How much longer can you resist? A voice taunted, its tone dripping with arrogance. Against the coordinated pressure of our advance? A reply came, not with fear but with an almost bored confidence. I've already communicated that, the voice responded. You will not be leaving this place in a functional state. An outraged roar echoed through the space. You audacious fool! How dare a human address a monarch, a being such as myself, with such insolence? The words were heavy with regal fury, a challenge that could not be ignored. A worried voice broke through the rising tide of tension. He sustained a hit in the central region. The speaker paused, thoughtful. I surmise that will be insufficient to render them incapacitated. A voice, rich with authority, boomed across the scene. My liege, my title is Croatia, monarch of the plagues. I am the genesis of every insect that crawls. Though you, a thankless insect, do not acknowledge your origin, I shall embrace you as one of my own. Release me, a desperate voice screamed, panic threading through the words. This is where your path ends. A command, sharp and demanding, sliced through the air. You senseless subordinates, what are you lingering for? Hasten to aid our lord. Another voice, thick with anticipation, declared, I shall be the one to extinguish the final flicker of life from our adversaries. That entity, a voice observed, its tone edged with grudging respect, must have possessed considerable power in its previous existence. The same voice continued, a hint of apprehension seeping in. Shadow soldiers of a superior designation have started to materialize. A calm, yet chilling, voice cut through the mounting tension. However, the nature of your wound is of a critical magnitude. The games are concluded. Are you speaking about this? The question hung in the air, a challenge laced with power. Status effect reversal. A final voice acknowledged, its tone a mix of shock and grudging recognition. The statement hung in the air, implying that the game was about to change. New York, London. The words were a low murmur, a litany of global power centers, each name carrying a weight of unspoken significance. Shanghai, Paris. The recitation continued, each city a marker in a growing storm. A voice, laced with apprehension, cut through the almost hypnotic chant. It's almost as if a storm is swirling around Hunter Sung Jin-Woo. The name hung in the air, charged with a potent mix of fear and wonder. What is happening? The speaker's voice trembled slightly. Another voice, closer to panic, replied, I feel like I'm witnessing the world's end. The scale of the events was clearly overwhelming. Is he really the Sung Jin-Woo I know? A question, tinged with disbelief, hung in the air, questioning the very nature of what was unfolding. I knew that he was a hunter capable of growth, a voice admitted, but just how much stronger has he become in such a short span of time? The unspoken question echoed, emphasizing the rapid transformation that defied all expectations. A low, guttural growl broke the tense silence. That wretch? The tone was one of simmering fury, a warning of impending conflict. The Creator revealed a prophecy to me, a voice declared, its tone a mixture of resignation and defiance, that my existence would conclude at the hands of the pillar of flames that supports this world. But what he failed to mention was whether that pillar would actually fall or not. A sense of grim anticipation permeated the words. I've been positioned for an extended period, waiting to strike, a voice admitted, frustration clear in its tone. But this is clearly a situation I cannot intercede in. A grudging acknowledgement of overwhelming force. From 30 minutes prior, a voice stated, its tone clinical. The elite operatives of the Faint Guild have been dispersed across the surrounding structures. Once they receive the designated signal, they will unleash a barrage of support fire upon the opposition like an intense storm. The speaker paused, the implication hanging heavy in the air. We may be able to apply significant damage to the enemy. A voice, edged with despair, responded. But if that were to occur, how many of us would remain? We would be consumed if we failed to strike. We would still be consumed, even if the strike was successful. The futility of the situation was painfully clear. Our adversary is a being that not even Thomas Andre could subdue. The speaker's tone reached a level of grim acceptance. It seems as though the time for us to be making a decision is coming. Just settle back and observe, a voice commanded, a hint of forced bravado in its tone. Who's there? The sudden shift in focus indicated a potential new element entering the fray. Hunters gathered for the purpose of subjugation and evacuation of magical beasts, a voice stated matter-of-factly, and not a single one of them has been able to intervene in the ongoing conflict. The weight of the battle was clear. They were simply waiting for the most favorable circumstances, the speaker continued. The conclusion to the battle seemed imminent. A gasp of realization broke through the tension. It must be some form of toxic agent. The voice was urgent. The effects are still evident in the surrounding environment. A cold, dismissive voice replied, "Poison will have no effect on me." The speaker's confidence was absolute. Initiating detoxification sequence. The words were clipped, precise. Sequence successful, the voice added, a note of dark amusement coloring its tone. "You impudent being." A furious voice, filled with unbridled rage, roared, "I shall tear you into countless pieces." The threat hung in the air, a promise of unimaginable violence. "An overwhelming force," a voice admitted, laced with resignation. "I cannot counter it." Initiating skill, immutability, another voice calmly stated. "So," a voice, tinged with a strange sense of calm, acknowledged, "this must be the experience of profound darkness, a deep void that humbles even us, who were born from the void." The voice was filled with a sense of wonder. "How brilliant this darkness is." A voice, devoid of emotion, announced, "You have overcome Croatia, monarch of plagues, and one of the 9 monarchs." A series of disembodied announcements followed. "Your level has increased. Your level has increased. Your level has increased." The mechanical tone emphasized the rapid accumulation of power. How is this possible?" A voice asked in shock. "He should not be able to fully command the Shadow Monarch's power." "Yet," a voice pointed out, incredulous. A new voice rose above the others. "So we will experience again the fear towards one of the strongest monarchs that once dominated this universe." "Do not be so apprehensive of him," a voice countered, dismissive. "He is clearly depleted, and the fact that he relies on such trivial means clearly illustrates he is not complete." The speaker's words were laced with a subtle threat. An incomplete monarch cannot obstruct the path of true monarchs. "Barry's essence is dissipating," a voice announced, concern evident in its tone. "Did he sever the shadow essence that was attached to Thomas Andre? The same way he did with Summon," the speaker said slowly before continuing. "Cancel Baru. Return." 2 electronic voices responded in unison. "You cannot retract the specified subject." The mechanical pronouncements emphasized the limits of power. "I managed to avoid Barrow's demise," a voice declared, a hint of satisfaction in its tone. "However, King of the Beasts, you are correct." "Human," a voice boomed, the tone laced with condescension. "It seems that you are unduly confident with the power you have, which is not truly yours. Even if you exercise it by manipulating these puppets, we need only to sever the strings to release them." The words were a clear challenge, a display of power. "I will confine your puppets under my influence and subject them to perpetual healing and revitalization." The voice paused, reveling in the power it wielded. "Then, your soldiers will become mere parasites that eat away at your spirit. Now what will you do?" "Human cook," a new voice mocked, the challenge evident in its tone. "He's not present," a confused voice whispered, highlighting a sudden shift in the battle. "His swiftness is considerable," a voice admitted, grudgingly. "Your stealth capabilities must rely upon a substantial energy consumption." The speaker's voice hardened. "I will bring an end to this swiftly. Motion, sight, breathing, muscle energy flow." The words were muttered, fragmented, a desperate attempt to understand the unfolding events. "I can see them. If only I can match his swiftness, even for a brief moment." "I am uncertain what your designs are," a voice stated, dismissive, "but they will be futile. I have you." A triumphant cry was heard as one combatant seemed to have gained the upper hand. "It seems your confidence is misplaced," a voice mocked, "without the speed you held so dearly." "Status," a voice requested, cold and analytical. "Name, Sung Jin-Woo. Class, Shadow Monarch. Level, 146. Titles, Demon Hunter, and 2 others. HP, 93,300. MP, 1,557,200. Fatigue, 0. Strength 324, Stamina 320, Agility 340, Intelligence 340, Perception 321. AP, 0. Physical damage reduction, 65%. Magical damage reduction, 44%. Passive skill, unknown, level max, tenacity, level 1. Advanced dagger art, level max. The recitation was a clinical assessment of a power that defied simple classification.